Basically, I spend a lot of time looking at screens. That's it about me. Let me get to the part which will help you guys build a UX portfolio.
Thanks for joining and welcome to Designers Live Plus Detox. At Designers, we design learning experiences for design enthusiasts who want to jumpstart and kickstart their career in UI UX designing. Today in the session, we have Chetan, who is a product designer at Sprinkler and an alumni of IIT. He has had a very interesting journey and will surely give you some insights from his own journey. So without any taking extra time, Chetan, I hand this over to you.
So let's get started with the presentation. So the topic is designing a UX portfolio from scratch, and I'm going to run you through the various aspects of building a UX portfolio. A little bit of intro about myself. My name is Chetan, and I studied Bachelor's of Design from IIT Guwahati. In my college journey, I've done various internships with some very interesting UX design studios and companies. I currently work as a user experience designer at a SaaS-based company called Sprinkler in Gurgaon. And over the course of my short career, I have gotten to work and compete in a lot of national level UX design competitions and won a few. And I hope to put all that learning into this talk so that you guys can take away from it. So basically, I spend a lot of time looking at screens. That's it about me. Let me get to the part which will help you guys build a UX portfolio. So the topic is designing a UX portfolio from scratch. So before we start that, why do you need a UX portfolio? Well, in our industry, in design, portfolio is much more important than your CV and is much more important than your education or experience. It speaks about you even in your absence, and it is a good first impression about your skills to whatever hiring recruiter is looking at your CV or considering you for a role. But how do I build it from scratch? Firstly, provides evidence that is irrefutable. Secondly, provides it in a storytelling format and gives context to every piece of evidence that he puts forward. What kind of project should I put up? To figure out what kind of project you have to put up, these are a few pointers that you need to keep in mind. Which UX activities do I really like to do? On which projects did I bring the most value? From which projects did I learn the most? What interesting stories can I tell about the work that I did? And which company and roles do I want to apply for? It doesn't matter if you're already in the industry or you're planning to get in. You must have done some of the other projects over there, and you can definitely bring that format into a UX case study. How do you compile everything into a story? So to figure out how you bring this evidence or projects into a certain format, these are a few pointers you need to follow. Firstly, what are the problems that you solved, or what are the hypotheses that you came up with? What was your role? You must have worked in a team in most of the projects. So what was your specific contribution in that? How did you come to your proposed solution? How did your solution solve the problem? What are the challenges you faced, including the concepts that did not finally make it through till the end? And finally, what did you learn? The design process, empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And we try to cater our projects towards the design process. It is not a rigid framework, but it is a good starting point to compile any case study. So it has research, ideation, wireframing, design, and prototype. So hiring managers basically want to understand how you work with teams and how you would fit into their company. So any company has different products and different teams and a different way of working. And when they seek out new employees or new interns, they look for how well this person can fit into our culture and work with the teams that already exist. Now, where do I put it up? So there are a few avenues. One is web-based third party. This is called Behance. A lot of designers put up their portfolios here. This is my portfolio. Pros of this is there is already a distribution, which means a lot of people use the platform and it is easy to discover. And it is a one-page explanation of your UX case study. It is very visual and you don't need to put in much effort into sort of building your own thing because it's already there and you just put up and create your own profile and put in your project. The cons are it is limited in terms of interactivity. You can only stick to the constraints that Behance has. You can't have your own personal interactions on it, and it has to be highly graphical. So if graphics is not your strong suit, then Behance may not be the best avenue for you. The next one is a personal website. This is the best way to put out your portfolio. The pros are, as you can see, you have a lot of room and leeway into how you want to design it. Personal interactions, illustrations. You can see how beautifully this person has designed their portfolio. You can put in your story in whatever way you want. But the cons are it takes a lot of time, effort, and if you don't have that kind of luxury in terms of, or if you don't have access to web developers or you can't develop it yourself, then a website might not be a great idea. So depending on your particular context, you can choose what platform you want to use. There are a few no-code tools as well, like Webflow, which are up where you don't need to know how to do web development, but it helps you design a website very easily. So you can look up tools like that as well. The next one is a PDF document. A PDF document is nothing but a set of slides in a presentation. The pros of having a PDF presentation is, remember earlier I spoke about how different companies and different roles are looking for different kinds of projects, right? So if you're looking for a UX research role and if you're looking for a UX design role and if you're looking for a UI intern role or a UI design role, you might need different ways of projecting the same project. When you have an offline portfolio in a PDF, you can have different ones for different roles. So that is an advantage you have. You can send different portfolios to different companies. Unlike Behance or the website where you have the same set of projects. The cons are discoverability is very low. People can't discover you without you actively sending it to them. So that is a major drawback in a PDF portfolio. So I'm going to run you through a typical UX project. This is a project I worked on. It's called Roomzo. As you can see, it follows a certain process. You have research, ideation, implementation, validation. Then this is the particular process that I followed here. The about section talks about the project itself. It is a mobile application that helps people find other roommates. That was the context. And in literature review, you can see how I've highlighted the metrics that are relevant to my research. And I've also cited the sources from where I've taken up the pointers from. So this helps add credibility to your research. Going ahead, I put up a mind map. So over here, when someone looks for a roommate, they have a certain set of questions that pop up in their mind. And I wanted to deep dive into what those questions are. So I highlighted them over here. And I also listed the kind of existing methods that are present. We have something called user personas. When you're designing any application or any solution, you need to essentially get into the shoes of your users and empathize with them. So to do that, user persona is a great way. For my particular context, I wanted to target young adults who would look for roommates. So I captured their whole persona this way. You have goals, behavior, what kind of avenues they use, what are their motivations, frustrations, preferred channels, and a little idea about who the person is and where they're from. The next step for me was ideating. I figured out a few features that might help my users, and I put it out in terms of what features they would manifest as, and I put them out here. So search, smart feed, messaging, notifications, sharing, viewing cards, etc. Then I used a design process called Kano analysis. You don't need to know this. You can just search about it later. But this is yet another technique that you use when you have a lot of features. You can use this technique to prioritize your features. So I use that over here, and I use something called information architecture. This is the skeleton of how my solution is structured. So for me, I would have a login. Once I log in, I'd have these things, and if I go into home, I can further see these things, and so on and so on. So these are a few design techniques that you can use to show how your ideation has manifested into the final solution. And finally, I put in my final designs. So these are what you call onboarding screens, and these were my final screens. You don't need to get into the details of this, but what you need to see over here is how I've sort of portrayed it. A lot of people just put up their final screen and explain the features present on each screen, but I'd suggest that you come up with a certain flow in which a typical user would use your application. How someone would sign up, how they would navigate to the screen, go to the screen, and then once they enter the home screen, what would they click on? So put it into a flow, which is a story of how your user would use your solution. So that is how I portrayed this. And in between, I also explained the different features that are present in each screen. And in the end, just for presentation purposes, I put up a screenshot of all the screens that were there. Now I've run through it very fast, but this was just to give you an idea of a typical UX project. So this is a typical UI project. Now here, this is an application that I designed for controlling smart devices at home. Here you'd notice that there is not a lot of research. I would focus more on the user interface and the design rather than the research, which I focused on in my UX project. So here I talked about the typography or the fonts that I use, what color did I use, and what is the reason behind that. Because here, typography and color come to the forefront in designing the UI. And I straight away skipped to the features. I spoke about home screen, routines, tags, alerts, devices, device customization, and again, a UI screenshot. So you can see the contrast between the previous project and this. There is not a lot of design techniques I used in this. I straight up focused on the presentation itself and the UI design part of it, because this was meant to be a UI design project. So you might have confusion over what kind of problem should I pick. There are hundreds and thousands of problems that we face in real life. So a good way to think about what problem to pick. Think about, so when you solve the problem for a particular user, how much impact is it making and how many people is it impacting? So you can work on two kinds of problems. Ones that make a lot of impact for the user you're solving for and impact a small number of people, or something that makes a small impact for a large number of people. So either way, the area under the curve that you're looking at, impact versus number of people, is the same. Go and look at other designers' portfolios and see how they've structured their solutions. You've already picked a problem and you have a solution. So what you need to do is show the process that went behind going from problem to solution. Showing this process is what will help you land those freelance roles. And a lot of freelance roles are also dependent on how your final solution is. Unlike internships in companies, freelancers look a lot at your final solution and also the design decisions you've taken. Cater your portfolio to that. Look at some other designers' work. I'll share some ways to find these designers as well once we go through the presentation. But yes, since you have the problem and solution, try to elaborate on how you came to the solution. Use the problem to help you bring out your own talent, where visuals and aesthetics is an integral part of the solution. If that is the case, then a combination of branding and UX might be a good domain for you to solve in. How do I ensure that my stories are interesting? Because a lot of people can tell a lot of stories, but only a few catch our eye and give them a good story that they would fall in love with. Firstly, remember how good pictures are shot. They have scenes that are in a sequence which makes sense. You cannot watch a particular scene and understand its meaning without the scene that gives it context. And that is how you should design your portfolio. When you solve a particular problem and you're showcasing it to someone, a particular part of the process might need context of a previous step, which when put together makes sense. Show the entire end-to-end flow when you're putting up your project and put it in a sequence that makes sense as you go through it. And it builds up more and more context as you go through it. Depth versus breadth of work. We might have very elaborate UX case studies, but not everyone has the time to go through everything. So a good way to solve this is giving the user the choice to spend more time or less time to go through your project while giving them enough context no matter how much time they want to spend. Again, like I spoke earlier, recruiters have very less time. A few of them have even less than a minute. So they're basically going to scroll through your project. Imagine a recruiter as someone who's driving on the highway and your project is a billboard. So they are just skimming through the billboards and you have only that split 2-3 seconds to make a good impression on them. Slightly more in this case. So this is a good example of how to do that. That person has given, whoever designed this portfolio has given an overview starting from problem, solution, role, timeline, team members, tools, what the approach was, a trailer to how the project might look, the few screens, and a button to straight away jump to the prototype. Skip all the definitions and jump to the prototype. So this is a good way to put out an overview of the project where within 30 seconds, I get full idea about what your project is. And if I'm then interested, I can go through the entirety of it and read through it. Otherwise, I still get an idea of what kind of project you work on. This is again specific to personal website. If you want to create a personal website for yourself, having navigation is really, really helpful because it helps people, again, with a time crunch, those who do not have too much time, to go through the sections that are really important for them and skip the rest. So this helps them easily skim through your portfolio, not missing out the relevant sections that are important for them. Really, really important to have a decent hold of visuals and graphics. It's okay if you don't have it yet, but over time it's good to develop and a good skill to have. So wherever possible, explain concepts in visuals. This again ties into people not having too much time to go through your projects. Visuals gets the point across very, very easily and very fast, and it makes it stick in your head. So with a brief view, I can get an idea that these are the 6 features that this person is implementing. And if I further want to read more, I can go through the text that that person has put in. Craftsmanship. Now, as new UX designers, firstly, typos are a major turnoff. Make sure you spell check the entire case study. Do not make typos as it leaves a very bad impression. Lorem ipsum. A lot of people put in sample text within screens wherever possible. But trust me, put in that extra 3-4 minutes to type in text that is contextually important. If you're talking about the bio of a person, say you need a bio of a person in your social networking app, just putting a little sample details about that person is much, much better than putting up this lorem ipsum text. So please, please, please do not put this. It is a major turnoff for recruiters. Another thing is using different fonts on the same website or on the same page. So this person has used, I think, 3-4 fonts and it looks horrible. Make sure you use the same fonts or same 2 fonts that you've picked up. Icon consistency. A lot of you make this mistake. There are different kinds of icons from different icon families. This is a filled icon. This is a stroke icon. And putting them together creates inconsistency. So initially, even though you might not know it, read up about icon consistencies. This is how icons from the same families go together and look good together. So this is the kind of consistency you should strive to maintain. Thumbnails. This is again drawing back to a personal website. When I scan through this person's work, I can see what kind of projects that this person has worked on just by scanning through this. There is a snapshot of the final design. There is a header. There is a small description over there and what organization was she or he working with. Now I can pick out, there are 9 projects, but I can pick out whatever one that I'm interested in, whatever catches my eye as a recruiter and go ahead and look at it. Headings. This is a hack that is going to help you a lot. Use verbs and potential effects, outcomes or impact that come out of it. So instead of just saying redesigning a health app, this person has said he's helping users achieve a better living and a healthier body. This immediately gives me context about what this person is trying to solve and what the expected outcome is. And I'm more likely to click on something like this than just redesigning a health app. X factor. This is again specific to people this skill to provide motion prototypes designed using motion design. But again, always keep in mind that the recruiter does not have too much time to go through your portfolio and they might not go through those 20-30 static screens that you put up. And 3-4 motion prototypes are much, much easier to convey the point across. So again, this, if you do not know how to do this and do not want to put in the time, that is completely all right. But if you do and you're willing to learn it, is a major X factor that can set you apart in terms of your projects. A portfolio is basically a reflection of yourself and it is a good idea to bring your personality out of it. This is an example of a person called Ethelia. She is very playful in nature and you can see how she's designed the portfolio to reflect that. If you look at the logo, right, you can see how it's a cursive font with 3 strokes over here showing that she's a very playful person. The visuals, they all sort of give you an impression that this is a very playful person. It sets her apart from all the other templatized portfolios that people put up. X to UX. This is something that even in the questions that we had earlier, a lot of people are talking about. A lot of you come from different backgrounds into UX and rather than seeing that as a disadvantage that you do not know enough about UX, I'd argue that it is your advantage because every auxiliary skill can make up for an interesting X factor for you. The designers community has a program called X to UX where you can come from any domain and step into UX and they'll help you get through it. But let me just talk about, say you go through, I've put up a few examples here, fashion, communication, development, marketing, business management, etc. Say you're a fashion designer. You have a good idea about colors, you have a good idea about aesthetic, and when you put up your portfolio or put up your case studies, you can use that as your strength to portray your project. Communication Application designers are good at figuring out the ideal way and the ideal setting to put up information in a very concise way to catch the attention of users. And you can use that to put up good projects. Developers have the power to develop concepts into final working prototypes. And a lot of designers still don't do that. They end it on concepts. So as a developer, you have that advantage to see projects end to end. And a recruiter would really appreciate it if they see that you have taken this project from research to conceptualization to actually implementation, and you also tested it. So developers can use that. Marketing, again, you have your own set of skills. You know how different business metrics help you sell a product, and you can use that while defining a problem statement. You might know how to do competitive analysis in the market to see why my product or my solution would trump over other solutions as a marketing person. So you use that to justify why you took some certain design decisions, and you portray that in the documentation. So this shows the recruiter that you have this unique perspective that makes you unique. So whatever your background is, if it is not design, use that as your advantage to provide strong case studies. Keeping it real. This is something that a lot of young designers do. We often get inspired by others' portfolios, and some of us copy directly, blatantly from it. Now, this is not okay because someone has put in a lot of effort into designing whatever that person put up. And designers in general are always looking up for inspiration. So if you copy, it is very, very likely that you will be called out because some of the other designer might have come across both portfolios and he or she will immediately inform the other person. It's good to take inspiration, but it's not okay to copy. And if you are taking something from someone else's portfolio, please remember to give them credit. The difference between inspiration and copying is you get to learn when you're inspired. You get to take away what is important. But in copying, you simply don't gain anything. Feedback. This is arguably one of the most important steps. Keep asking, keep a group of 4 or 5 people who you trust and whose feedback is important for you. And every time you put up a project or when you put up your portfolio, send it to them and ask for their feedback. And oftentimes you get amazing feedback that you never saw coming because you were too involved and it was your idea. So we might fall in love with our idea most of the time and we might not see blatant flaws that exist. And asking for feedbacks helps us get rid of the bias and improve our projects. So please keep asking for feedback from people you trust. Using real life projects. This is something that I've already gone over. Solving colonization of Mars is an interesting problem, but judging it for a recruiter is going to be extremely difficult. They'll finally judge it only over the presentation, the end presentation, because there's no way to validate if your research was correct or not, whether the approaches you took was correct or not. So it is best if you pick a real life problem, keeping in mind the impact versus the number of people it impacts. How many UX projects are expected out of me when I put up my portfolio? So according to recruiters at Google, 3 UX projects are enough to showcase your skills. Quality over quantity any day. Rather than having 10 different projects with a few weak projects where you just did it for the sake of it, it's good to have 3 thoroughly designed projects, and that is enough. Make sure that these are thorough enough, and even if someone wakes you up from sleep and asks you to explain this project, you know the in and outs of the entire project. And finally, to wrap up, I've covered a lot of things, give you a final few tips. A lot of us procrastinate over when to put up a portfolio, when to put up that website, and we wait until that perfect project comes along the way. But that is counterintuitive. Put up real work, even if it's messy. Keep curating it, develop it over time, but put it up. Highlight collaboration with teams because companies expect that you fit in with their teams and work well together. So if you do work with teams, explain your role and how you contributed. And most importantly, reflect on who you are as a designer and where you want to be. So each company wants to see what your aspirations are and what their aspirations are. And when they hire you, they expect that these two have an alignment. So that is what you want to achieve out of your portfolio.
So guys, you got some interesting insights from Chetan's story. Thanks a lot, Chetan. It was an honor hosting you. Thank you for joining this detox session. I will see you in the next one.